Hey guys, in this session we're going to be looking at the 2016 MCAT exam, which was done on day one. I haven't actually got the marking schedule yet, nor do I know which questions are achieved merit or excellence. So it's just been a few people have requested for me to actually do this paper. So that's all I'm doing, just working out some answers. So there might be some mistakes. I do apologize for that. But yeah, just feel free to discuss in the comment section below. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so in this question, you've been given area of a rectangle is x squared minus x minus 2. And then they're saying that one of the sides is x plus 1, find the other side. Okay, so that means we've got a rectangle where the bottom side is x plus 1. Well, it could be the side one as well, but I'm just putting in this case bottom one. And then the area is x squared minus x minus 2. All they're asking you is what is the other side going to be? Now, this is the same thing as saying factorizing. So when we factorize the quadratic, we're going to get x plus 1 and x minus 2. So that's how you do that first question. Now in the second question, they're actually asking you, what do you know about the value of x for this rectangle? So to do this, I need to look at both of my sides of my rectangle. One side, my rectangle is x plus 1. The other one is x minus 2. So what I got to and I think this is what I struggle to explain, is that, I look at this rectangle and I know that the rectangle cannot have negative numbers as its length, so it has to be positive number. So here in x plus 1, the biggest, well, I could have any number because that's fine. But if I look at that second side, it's x minus 2. So I can't have x is equal to 2. Because if I put x equals to 2, then the rectangle will actually become 0 on one side. Because you see how you got x plus 1 on one side, x minus 2 on the other side. Now if I put x equals to 2, then I'm going to get 3 here, and I'm going to get 0 there. Okay, so this is when I put x equals to 2. Now if I put x equals to 1, just to show you, if I put x equals to 1, the bottom side here is 1 plus 1 will become 2. But 1 minus 2 will become negative 1. So x cannot be 1, x cannot be 2. So in other words, but if I look at any number bigger than 2, so if I say x has to be bigger than 2, so let's say I take something like 2.1. Let me choose a different color. So if I say x is 2.1 or 2.01, it doesn't matter, whatever. But 2.1 is a nice one to have a look at. Now 2.1 plus 1 is 3.1. And 2.1 minus 2 would give me 0.1. And as you can see, that's a rectangle that I can work with. So I guess really what they want you to tell is that x has to be greater than 2. Otherwise, or one of your sides will be 0. One of your sides will be 0 if x equals to 2, and if x is less than 2, then one of the sides would be a negative value. One of the sides will be negative. So I guess that's what they're trying to ask for this ask you guys to do in this question. Okay, next question. Alright guys, so in this question, Rani has more money than Hone. So it says if in the first line, if Rani gave Hone $20, they would have the same amount. Okay, so my first equation is going to be like this. So Rani gives $20 to Hone, which means Hone now has his money plus another $20 from Rani. So this is equal to each other. But when Hone actually gives $22 to Rani, so that means Rani's actually gained $22. Rani would then have twice as much as Hone, which means 2 times whatever he has originally here. Okay, so that's how you set up those two equations. So looking at my first equation here, I can rewrite this equation as R is equal to H plus 40. Okay, because when I take the negative 20 to the other side, it becomes plus 20. So because of that, I can actually replace this r h plus 40 where this r is. So I'm going to have h plus 40 plus 22 equals 2 times h is 2h, 2 times negative 22 is negative 44. And now rearranging this, negative 44 coming to this side, I've got 40 plus 22 plus 44 equals 2h. And when I shift the minus h to the right hand side, it's minus h. So which means I've got 40, 40, 44, I've got 106 equals to h. So if h is equal to 106, I can figure out that Rani has actually got h plus 40, which is 106 plus 40, which equals 146. So Rani has $146 and Hone has $106. So I mean, a quick way to do this is to check it. So because Rani and Hone, right? So Rani had 146, Hone had 106. So if Rani gives $20 to Hone, then she has 126, while Hone gets 126. So they have the same amount, which is what it says in this question. However, we need to check the other way as well. If Hone gives $22 to Rani, then Hone's value becomes 84, while Rani becomes 168. And you can see that 168 is actually 2 times 84. So that's how we know that these two values are correct. Okay, let's go to the next question. So this question, they've got a is equal to this particular equation and b equals another equation. So they're asking you to find expression of a in terms of b. So I'm going to work out a first. So a equals 3 times n squared minus 4n plus 2 plus n. When I expand this, I get 3n squared minus 12n plus 6, and I've got plus n at the end. So now I look at my like terms. So there's my two like terms, and I have 3n squared minus 11n plus 6. So I need to do the same thing for b. So b equals 2n plus 1, n minus 6, plus n squared plus 3. So working out my quadratics, 2n times n is 2n squared, 2n times minus 6 is negative 6n, plus 1 times n is plus n, and 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. Then I have plus n squared plus 3. I've just realized I made a mistake here because 2 times negative 6 is actually negative 12n. So that should be negative 12n here. Okay, so once I have this, I need to simplify this. So collecting my like terms, I have 2n squared and n squared is 3n squared. Then I collect my n's, which is going to be negative 11n. And of course, finally, my two numbers, which is minus 3. So this could be written as 3n squared minus 11n minus 3. So now it's just a matter of writing a in terms of, I think, what is it? A in terms of b. So because b equals 3n squared minus 11n minus 3, how can we do this real quickly? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write both my equations down. So let's see, I'm going to put it like this. Watch what happens. Put a equals 3n squared minus 11n plus 6. And I'm going to write b below it. So I'm going to get b equals 3n squared minus 11n minus 3. And now I'm just going to subtract the top equation from the bottom equation. So a minus b, that's just going to be a minus b. Leave the equal sign as it is. 3n squared minus 3n squared is 0. Negative 11n minus minus 11n is 0 and 0. and then 6 minus negative 3 is plus 9. So my equation that I have is a minus b equals to 9, and I can rearrange this as a equals to b plus 9, and that's how you do this question, folks. And you can kind of see that because really if you look at b, you've got 3n squared minus 11n minus 3. So just looking at that value, if I add 9 to this, 9 minus 3 will become 6, and that's another way you can kind of see that this part here you can write as b plus 9. That's another way you can do it as well. Okay, let's go to the next question. So in this question you're asked, for what values of x will this equation work out? So you're going to have 4 times 2 to the power of x equals 2 to the power of 6x plus 3. Now, I know that a lot of people do this mistake. They look at that first line where they see 4 times 2 to the power of x, and they put it as 8 to the power of x. This is actually incorrect, folks, because you've got to have the basis as the same thing, same base. So 4, I'm going to write 4 as 2 to the power of 2 multiplied by 2 to the power of x. Okay, so when I do this, now I have my bases are the same. So if the bases are the same and I multiply, I need to add my powers. So I'm going to get 2 to the power of 2 plus x equals 2 to the power of 6x plus 3. And now I can see that this green box, these two things have to equal the same number. So I can write this separately. I can forget about the two bases, and I can write it as 2 plus x equals 6x plus 3. And when I rearrange this, I'm going to get x minus 6x equals 3 minus 2. So I've got negative 5x equals positive 1, and x is equal to 1 over negative 5, or we can just write this as negative 1 over 5. So that's what we're looking for in this particular question, folks. Okay, so let's go to the next question. All right, so question 2, you've got a parabola has the equation y equals 3x squared minus 2x plus 5. What's the value of y when x equals to 4? So in this one, it is just a matter of substituting. So we have 3 times 4 squared minus 2 times 4 plus 5. And then this is equal to 3 times 16 minus 8 plus 5. So we have 48 minus 8 plus 5, and this is equal to 45. That's question 2a. The next question. This was an interesting question because when I saw it, I was just, I'll be honest, I was a little stumped. I'll actually show you the first way I did it and how I kind of messed it up a bit. But yeah, so I'll show you guys how to do both ways, all right? So this was the first way I did it, and I got messed around. So I did x minus 2 times x plus 2 is greater than x minus 2 and x plus 3. Because x minus 2 was on both sides as a common factor, I decided to do this. X minus 2 divided by x minus 2 multiplied by x plus 2 is greater than x plus 3. Okay, so when I did this, what happened was, I cancelled out these two things, and I ended up with an equation that said x plus 2 is greater than x plus 3. So I was like, oh yeah, let's just keep going. So I brought the x back to this side, to the left-hand side, and what I ended up with is, basically this is what I did. So I subtracted x from both sides, and what ended up happening, x minus x is 0, and I got an answer that said 2 greater than 3. And this is when I kind of figured out, okay, yep, I've done something extremely wrong here for me to get an answer of 2 is bigger than 3. So how do we do this? I tried another method, which was actually expanding the brackets on both sides. So because I have a quadratic on both sides, x minus 2, x plus 3, I expanded the left-hand side, and I got x squared plus 2x minus 4. And then I expanded the brackets on the right-hand side, and I got x squared plus 3x minus 2x minus 6. And from here, what I started doing was I started getting rid of, started canceling things out because I've got them on both sides. So for example, x squared and x squared disappear because, well, when I shift x squared to this side, it becomes minus x squared. Negative 2x and negative 2x disappear as well. So what I was left over with was 2x minus 4 is greater than 3x minus 6. And of course, I could keep going with this. So when I rearrange this, I'm going to get 2x minus 3x is greater than negative 6 plus 4. So here I've got negative x is greater than negative 2. So because I'm dividing both sides by negative 1, I need to actually switch my symbol. So I'm going to get x is less than positive 2. That's what I actually got one of the answers as. And yeah, if I've done something wrong in this calculation, I do apologize, but if anyone finds a mistake, please do let me know. Okay, so next question. So in this question, we've got if n is a whole number, for what values of n is 6 times 2n plus 1 greater than 123? So, you know, there's two ways of doing this. One thing is, yeah, it's just one of these funny questions, isn't it? I mean, like, what you can do is you can actually guess and check this because they're saying n is a whole number. So if I put n equals to 0, then I'm going to get 6 times 2 times n plus 1 would then equal 6 times 2 to the power of 0 plus 1, which is 6 times 2 to the power of 1, 6 times 2, which is equal to 12. Obviously, I'm looking for something that's bigger than 123. So I want to have at least 6 times 20. All right. Now, if I look at my 2 to the power of 1 is 2. 2 to the power of 2 is 4. 2 to the power of 3 is 8. Now, the reason I'm doing this is like 6 times 2. So if I do 6 times 2, that's, sorry. If I do 6 times 2, that's 12. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 8 is 48. And if I do 2 to the power of 4, that's 16. 6 times 16 is 96. And then 2 to the power of 5 is 32. 6 times 32 is 192. So, obviously, I can't have this part here equal to 2 to the power of 4, because if I do 6 times 2 to the power of 4, 6 times 16 is actually 96. Okay, so what I need is I need minimum where 6 times 2n plus 1, the minimum I need is 6 times 2 to the power of 5, because that is going to give me a value of 192, and 192 is bigger than 123. So really I have 6 times 2 to the power of 5, and in the question I have 6 times 2 to the power of n plus 1. So I could say that n plus 1 should equal to 5, and n has to equal 4. So, but the question is actually asking for what values of n is this number greater than 123. So n could be 4 and above. So my final answer would be n has to be greater than 4. Yes, it's quite a kind of a challenging question, I feel, because it just, you know, you've got to play around with the numbers to get it to get what n is actually going to be. Yeah, that's one of the questions here. Okay, so next question. Oh, wow, yay! We got finally a question that we don't have to dwell too much on. All right, so for this question, we're just factorizing this equation. So we have two numbers that multiply to minus 8 and add up to positive 2. So we got x plus 4 times x minus 2 equals 0. And that means one of the brackets is equal to 0, or the other bracket is equal to 0. So in the first case, we get negative 4. And in the second case, we get x is equal to 2. Go, nice and simple. Next question. All right, so with this question, you can cross multiply, but if you cross multiply, you're going to end up with a cubic and it's going to be ugly. So when I say cross multiply, I'm talking about something like this. So the first thing you really want to do is you want to factorize the numerator there. And you would have done this in the previous question because it was the same quadratic. So you can write it as x plus 4, x minus 2 divided by x plus 2 and x minus 2 equals x over 2. So looking at this question, you can kind of see that x minus 2 and x minus 2 cancel out. Now you have x plus 4 divided by x plus 2 equals x over 2. So at this point, we can cross multiply, and what you should end up with is 2 times x plus 4 equals x times x plus 2. So expanding this, you're going to get 2x plus 8 equals x squared plus 2x. So rearranging this, I'm going to get 0 equals x squared plus 2x minus 2x minus 8. So I've got 0 is equal to x squared minus 8. Now, for those of you guys who thought that this might be a, well, you could do it with difference of two squares. You're looking for, like when I say difference of two squares, I'm talking about this. You know how you have x squared minus 9? You can write this as x minus 3 and x plus 3 because it's square root of 9. So you could have done it that way. You could have actually said that x squared minus 8 could be written as, this is, if you have not done surd forms, then I wouldn't expect you guys to write it like this, but you could write it as x minus square root of 8 multiplied by x plus square root of 8. And because that equals to 0, you get two answers. X equals to positive square root of 8 or minus square root of 8. Now I want to show you guys another way of doing this. So from here, what you could have done is x squared minus 8 is equal to 0. So x squared is equal to positive 8. Therefore, x is equal to square root of 8, but you get your two values plus or minus. So I guess for this question, you'd actually say x is equal to plus or minus square root of 8. Yeah, I think if you had done it any other way, you might have ended up with a quadratic. Quadratic. You might have got a cubic. Okay, so we go to the next question. Yeah, this was a funny question, wasn't it? But anyway, so we got Raj kicks a ball. Flight path of the ball can be modeled by this parabola where x and y are measured in meters. What does x measure? So x is actually measuring the, just writing down as the distance, the ball travels horizontally. Okay, I think that's what they're asking for, that's what they're looking for in that first question. Now the second question, it's a little bit more interesting. For what percentage of the horizontal distance that the ball travels will it be 3 meters or above the ground? Okay, so we've got this equation, right? Now we know at some point the ball is going to go 3 meters above ground. So we're actually looking for these 2 points because let's say that's 3 meters and we're trying to figure out what this value here, what these two values are. Okay, so the first thing you need to understand is if you were to draw this as a parabola, and I guess this is where it does help if you'd actually done a little bit of parabolas before. So when you have the graph y equals to minus x squared plus 4x, I've just expanded the brackets out, guys. So this could be written as y is equal to x times negative x plus 4. So what that basically means is that if I put y is equal to 0, I'm going to get x is equal to 0 or x is equal to 4, which means the graph, when you look at the graph's actually going to look like this. So at 0 and at 4, And the graph's kind of going to do something like that. Okay, so 0 is that starting point, and the horizontal distance it travels is 4. So now they're asking you at what point is it going to be 3. So we've got to put 3 equals minus x squared plus 4x and solve this. So rearranging this, I'm going to get x squared minus 4x plus 3 equals 0. So this could be factorized as x minus 3, x minus 1 equals 0. Therefore, x is equal to 1 and 3. What that means is when x equals to 1 and when x equals to 3, this ball is actually going to be, because that's going to be 3 right there. So this ball is going to be above 3 meters between when the horizontal distance is between 1 and 3. Now, because they're asking for 3 meters or more above the ground, you can see that the horizontal distance the horizontal distance the ball travels is 4 meters altogether. But for 3 meters or above vertically, God, this is such an annoying question. It's between 1 and 3 meters horizontally. That's where the horizontal distance is. So the answer in this case you're looking for is, so what, between 1 and 3, it's actually 2 meters. So 2 meters out of 4 meters, it's above 3 meters vertically, if that makes sense. Like I said, this is a horrible question, but anyway, the final answer you're looking for is actually 50%. Yeah, so it does help knowing a little bit about parabolas and how the negative graphs look like, and then actually working out your y, given a y value, and then looking at the values on x. I guess in hindsight, this would have been better had they put time at the bottom rather than horizontal distance, but you know, I don't write the papers. Anyway, let's go to the next question, guys. So we have yet another rectangle question. So we've got area of x squared plus 4x minus 12. What are the lengths of the sides in terms of x? Now, you know, being a maths teacher, I saw some really amazing answers by some maths teachers, but it was quite sarcastic. But anyway, look, for this particular question, I guess what they really should have, what they are asking for is very similar to that first question that we did in this paper. You know, you had the area of a rectangle. All right, so they're asking you to find the two sides, what they are in terms of x. So factorize. Okay, so factorizing this, I'm going to get x plus 6 and x minus 2. I guess that's two lengths of the sides in terms of x. So that's one of the answers. I'm sure there's many more answers that some teachers have come up with as well, but I guess this is probably one of the ones that NZQA is looking for. So the next question, you're saying that the area of the rectangle is 128. What's the values of x? So we have x squared plus 4x minus 12 equals 128. So rearranging this, I get x squared plus 4x minus 12 minus 128 equals 0. So I've got x squared plus 4x minus 140 equals 0. And now I can factorize this as x plus 14 and x minus 10 equals to 0. So putting both sides equal to 0, which means the first bracket I'm going to get is negative 14, and the second bracket I'm going to get is positive 10. So x has to be 10 and can't be negative 14 is what you need to be writing for this question. Okay, next question. Okay, so in this question you've been given a formula and they're asking you to write a formula to find the length of the string in terms of t taken. So they're just asking you to rearrange this equation where L is the subject. So we have, first off, we get rid of the 2 pi onto the other side. It's going to be t divided by 2 pi equals square root of L over 9.8. Now to get rid of the square root, I square both sides. So I want to square this side and I want to square this side. And what ends up happening is I end up with L divided by 9.8 equals T over 2 pi squared. And now I need to get rid of the 9.8. So L becomes T over 2 pi squared multiplied by 9.8. Now you can expand this further on if you want. So this will become T squared over 4 pi squared times 9.8. So that's another way you can do it. Okay, question C. They're asking you to show that this two fractions is the same as the one on the right hand side. So what you can do is 2 over x, we got plus 3 plus x over 5. Now because 5x is the common denominator between the two, I'm going to multiply the right one by x. I'm going to multiply the left one by 5 and 5. So then what I have is 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times x is 5x, and in this case 3 times x is 3x squared, x times x, sorry, 3 times x is 3x, and then x times x is x squared, and that's all divided by 5x. And of course, putting this whole thing in one bracket, it's x squared plus 3x plus 10 divided by 5x. That's how you do this question. And now finally we come to this triangle question. Yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, but I think you probably need a little bit more time than what we had. So in this question, the first part anyway, they're asking you what happens when Jason changes the order of the number in line 1. So I mean, to kind of look at it in a simpler way, I mean, I know this triangle looks like this, but all they've done is they've written 3 numbers. Sorry, they've written 4 numbers. They've added 1 and 3 to get 4, 3 and 5 to get 8, 5 and 7 to get 12, then 4 and 8 to get 12, 8 and 12, 20, 12 and 22 is 32. So all they're asking is investigate what happens when Jason changes the order of the numbers in line 1. So you could have done any combination. So I could have basically did this if I wanted. I could have said 1, 7, 5, 3, and then work out the totals. So I'm going to get 8, 12, 8. Then I get 20, 20, and 40. So I can say that if he changes the numbers, does he get the same answer in line 4? No, he doesn't. Okay. Or yeah, I mean, there's just so much variations for this question, guys, so I can't really put down all of it. Yeah, so I mean, you could even, no, I'm not going to go with this, right? I'm just going to leave it as it is. So just changed one order of the numbers in line 1. Okay, so I guess that's what they're looking for. Like I said, I haven't got the schedule, so I don't know what they're really looking for in this question, but let's hope this is one of the answers. Okay, so second question, they're saying find using algebra the relationship of the numbers in the first line to the numbers in the fourth line when he changes the order of the numbers in line 1. So, and again, like I said, I don't have the schedule for this, and I think this is what they're trying to ask for. So here I have the first number, the second number, the third number, and the fourth number. So the way I kind of explained this was this. Actually, I'm going to need a bigger space. Hang on. So first, second, third, and fourth. So my second line is going to have the first number plus the second number. Then here I'm going to have second plus third, third plus fourth. Then I have first plus second, so which is this number, plus the second number and the third number, so plus the second number and the third number. And on this side, I'm going to have the second number plus the third number plus the third number and the fourth number. Okay, so my final number is going to be first, and let's see this. So, oh God. So we have final number is going to be first plus second plus third. So this is basically, I'm looking at this number here, plus second plus third plus fourth. I'm looking at this number here. So finally, looking at the last number I have is the first plus I have 1, 2, 3 lots of second numbers. So 3 times the second number plus the third number happens 3 times. So 3 times the third number plus the fourth number as it is, which is there. So in terms of the relationship of the numbers in the first line to the numbers in the fourth line, I'm honestly, guys, I don't know what they're looking for in this. I guess the relationship is first number plus fourth number plus 3 times second and third number. Yeah, I think this is what the relationship they're looking for, but of course I could be completely wrong with this one, and I do apologize if I am. Okay, so let's see what they're trying to do in the next question. So in this case, they're saying that if Jason writes 4 consecutive numbers in order, what do you know about the numbers if the number at the bottom of the triangle is divisible by 3? Okay, so first off, I mean, if I was to do this, I'm going to put down x, then my second number would be x plus 1, third number would be x plus 2, and fourth number would be x plus 3. Okay, now according to my formula and from my previous one, I had the first number, which is x, plus the last number, which is x plus 3, plus 3 times the second number plus the third number. Okay, so when I actually expand this out, I'm going to get x. I've got 2x plus 3 times 2x plus 3. So expanding this, I'm going to get 2x plus 3 plus 6x plus 9. And so the total of this number at the bottom is going to be 8x plus 9. So my final number is 8x plus 9. Okay, so this is the fourth number in the bottom. Now it says the bottom number is divisible by 3. So 8x plus 9 is actually divisible by 3. Now I can see that 9 can be divided by 3. Okay, so if I say 8x and 9 can be divided by 3. But for 8x to be divisible by 3, because I can't do 8 divided by 3, x has to be a number that's divisible by 3. So what that's telling me is that, again, to write this, 9 is divisible by 3. But because for 8x to be divisible by 3, x has to be divisible by 3. So what I can say is, therefore, if bottom number in triangle is divisible by 3, then x is also divisible by 3. What do you know about the numbers with the number at the bottom of the... Yeah, so you can say that the first number is also divisible by 3. Yeah, that's it for this paper, guys. Once again, I might actually do one for this once the marking schedule is done, just to fix up any mistakes that I've actually made. But like I said, a few people wanted to know how to do some of the answers, just to have a different perspective, I guess. Yeah, so that's it for this session, and thank you for watching. Hope some of the questions actually answered some of the questions you had. But yeah, thanks again.